The reptilian delegate hissed, its scaled skin shimmering under the chamber's lights. Let them see what they are up against. Destroy one of their colonies, leave no survivors. They will either bow or vanish. The energy being from the plasma, Empire flared brighter, crude but effective. A single strike could erase their arrogance. Let them tremble before us. Admiral Zexathar raised a clawed hand to quiet the chamber. No, we will strike at their pride, but with precision. Destroying. A colony is wasteful. Instead, we'll target their military outpost near Mars. Annihilate their fleet, if you can call it. They'll tan their installations. Leave the planet untouched. Let them witness the destruction and know it was mercy that spared them. The crystalline. Delegate rang out in agreement. They will see their folly and grovel for forgiveness. A fitting end for such an insolent species. The chamber was unanimous. The Council's fleets would move within days to the Sol system. As a show of force would remind these humans of their place in the cosmic order, a lesson written in fire and ruin. But deep in the darkness of space, unseen by the Council's grand fleets, humanity prepared. Hidden planet ships, experimental weapons, and generations of determination stood ready to confront the impossible. This would not be humanity's end. It would be the beginning of a new chapter, where the underestimated became the unstoppable. Entire room, her voice steady, but filled with resolve. Prepare every fleet, every soldier, every weapon we have. Mobilize Project Prometheus and the Black Fleet. Make sure every system in the Sol network is fortified. Let them come. The room erupted into action as officers scrambled to relay orders and activate Earth's final contingency plans. Admiral Petro and General Martinez exchanged a glance, a mix of fear, respect, and newfound hope. They both understood that humanity stood on the brink of its greatest challenge, but also its greatest opportunity in the vastness of space. The Galactic Council received Earth's terse reply. The Voidwalker, with its star-filled eyes, chuckled. In its alien way, arrogant primitives. They will regret this. Admiral Zexathar issued the command to gather the fleets. Within hours, thousands of Council warships began converging on the Sol system. It was a display of overwhelming power, unmatched in the history of the galaxy. But as the fleets advanced, humanity prepared. Hidden bases on Earth's moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt came alive. The Black Fleet, shrouded in cloaking technology that rendered it invisible to alien sensors, took formation in the shadows. Project Prometheus was ready, a new kind of weapon. One born not of brute strength, but of ingenuity and the relentless drive to survive. As the first wave of alien ships approached the outer edges of the solar system, they were greeted not by fear, but by a human message broadcast on all frequencies. Welcome to Earth. What followed would be etched into the history of the galaxy forever. Battle where humanity defied the odds, where ingenuity clashed with tradition, and where a once primitive species taught the galaxy's oldest empires that they had underestimated. The wrong species. The Council had come to conquer, but they would leave humbled, if they left at all. Detecting some movement around Earth's moon. It appears they have a small fleet stationed there, but the ships are ... unusual. Admiral Zexathira raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Unusual how? The tactical officer hesitated for a moment, as if unsure how to explain. Their energy signatures are erratic, and their designs don't match any of the intelligence we've gathered on human ships. It's as if they don't want to be detected, yet they aren't hiding entirely. They're just ... waiting. The Admiral's mandibles clicked in amusement. Let them wait. They won't stand a chance. As the alien fleet passed Mars, the first signs of resistance emerged. A dozen human ships, sleek and black, appeared on their sensors. Their movements were fast, almost impossibly so. Before the aliens could react, the human ships vanished again into the void. What was that? Demanded Zexathira. Unknown, sir, replied the tactical officer, his claws tapping nervously on the console. They appeared for only a moment. No weapons. Fire. No communication. Just ... gone. Scouts, the Admiral said dismissively. Testing our response? Let them come closer. We'll deal with them when we reach Earth. But as the fleet approached Earth, the true scope of humanity's preparations began to reveal itself. Orbital platforms powered up, their surfaces bristling with weapons that hadn't been there days before. Massive constructs began emerging from the shadows of Earth's moon-hulking black vessels, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Sir," the tactical officer said, his voice filled with disbelief, "we're detecting ships, hundreds of them. And they single quotes, enormous. Larger than anything in our fleet, sir. Their energy readings are off the charts." Admiral Zexathera's confidence wavered for the first time. "Impossible. Humans don't have the resources or technology to build something like that. It's a trick." "It's no trick," a new voice said, cutting through the alien command frequency. The aliens froze. The voice was human, clear and confident. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Command. Welcome to Sol. You wanted to see what humanity could do. Now you will." In perfect synchronization, the human fleet activated. Their ships shimmered as cloaking fields dropped, revealing vessels designed not for defense, but for domination. One bristled with advanced weapons, their black holes absorbing light and radiating menace. Admiral Zexathera stared in shock as the massive human ships moved into formation, dwarfing even the largest alien dreadnoughts. "Engage them," he roared. "Show them what real power looks like." The alien fleet surged forward, weapons firing in unison. But as the first shots reached the human ships, they dissipated harmlessly against unseen barriers. Then, humanity struck back. The leading edge of the alien fleet disintegrated in an instant, their ships torn apart by beams of energy that seemed to come from nowhere. Explosions lit up the darkness as alien vessels scrambled to regroup, only to be cut down by the relentless assault. Admiral Chen watched the chaos unfold from her command center on Earth. "Send a message to the Council," she ordered, her communication. Officer nodded. "Message ready, Admiral. Alien warships." When the countdown ended, Admiral Zexathera gave the command. "Destroy that ship," he said with a dismissive wave of his hand. The alien fleet unleashed its weapons. Thousands of energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and missiles streaked toward the lone human vessel. The void lit up with a brilliant display of raw power. For a moment, it seemed as though the human ship would be obliterated without a trace. But then something extraordinary had happened. The human vessel didn't evade the attack, it absorbed it. The energy from the alien weapons disappeared into its black hole, leaving no visible damage. The missiles exploded harmlessly against an invisible barrier, their detonation snuffed out as if swallowed by a black hole. Admiral Zexathera's confidence faltered. "What just happened?" he demanded. The tactical officer's voice was shaky. "SIR, the human ship, absorbed all our firepower. Scans indicate its energy levels have increased." Before Zexathera could respond, the human ship moved. It was impossibly fast, closing the vast distance between it and the alien fleet in an instant. One moment, it was a distant speck. The next, it was in the midst of the Council's mighty armada. Admiral Chen's voice returned, calm and unshaken. "We were warned." The human ship unleashed its counterattack. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Flames of light that seemed to bend reality itself lanced out, slicing through the alien ships with surgical precision. Entire vessels disintegrated in seconds, reduced to dust and debris. The alien fleet, so confident mere moments ago, descended into chaos. Commands overlapped as captains attempted to regroup and counter the human assault, but it was futile. Human ship moved like a phantom, appearing and disappearing at will. Striking with devastating accuracy, Admiral Zexathera stared in disbelief. "This is impossible. No species has technology like this," communications officer interrupted, panic in his voice. "Admiral, we're receiving another transmission from the humans. Put it through," Zexathera growled. Admiral Chen's face appeared again, calm and resolute. "You thought us weak because we were quiet? You thought us primitive because we did not flaunt our power? That was your first mistake," Zexathera snarled. "You cannot defeat us all, human. We have the numbers. We have the galaxy." Chen's expression hardened. Numbers mean nothing when you face something you cannot comprehend. You came here thinking we would kneel. You will leave here knowing what happens when humanity stands. The transmission ended, and the human ship struck again. This time, it wasn't alone. Dozens of similar vessels emerged from behind planets, moons, and asteroids. Each one was sleek and black, their designs as enigmatic as the first. They moved with the same speed and precision, tearing through the alien fleet like a knife through paper. Admiral Zexathera knew then that the battle was lost. The Galactic Council's mightiest armada had been reduced to rubble by a species they had underestimated. Light and shadow. Each time the Prometheus reappeared, another alien warship vanished. The process was eerily quiet and efficient, as if the human ship were dismantling the Council's armada one vessel at a time, without effort or hesitation. Ships from the Voran Empire, Crystalline Hegemony, and the Psionic Confederation, each considered invincible in their own right, were reduced to scattered atoms or erased entirely. Weapon systems aimed at the Prometheus continued to fire, but it was as if the laws of reality had turned against the aliens. No energy weapon, no missile, no psionic attack could touch it. On board one of the alien dreadnoughts, a Psionic Confederation commander, capable of communicating through thought alone, tried to reach out to the humans. "What are you?" The message echoed through the void, desperate and filled with fear. A single reply resonated back, carried not by words but by an overwhelming sense of purpose. "We are the defenders of Earth. You brought war to our home, and now you face its cost." The Prometheus continued its relentless advance. Alien ships began to break formation, captains defying their orders in a desperate attempt to escape. Panic spread like wildfire. It was not a battle, it was a massacre. In the command center on Earth, Admiral Chen watched the live feeds with an unshakable expression. Round her officers reported the enemy's collapse, but Chen's focus remained on the display of the alien fleet's dwindling numbers. "Status?" she asked calmly. "Admiral?" Her operations officer replied, "Approximately 60% of the alien fleet has been neutralized. The remainder are attempting to retreat beyond the system. Prometheus reports no damage and 0 casualties." Chen nodded. "Good broadcast on all channels." She stepped forward and addressed the galaxy itself. "This is Admiral Chen of Earth. The lesson is clear. Never again underestimate humanity. Let this serve as a warning to all who would seek to conquer or enslave. We are peaceful, but we are not weak. We never kneel." The message echoed through the alien fleet, demoralizing them further. Ships abandoned the battlefield, fleeing in disarray. The once mighty Galactic Council fleet was no more. As the Prometheus returned to its silent vigil near the moon, Earth was quiet again, save for the hum of activity in the command center. Humanity had faced its greatest threat and emerged victorious not through numbers or brute force, but by proving that underestimating Earth was a fatal mistake. Admiral Chen sat back in her chair, letting out a slow breath. She knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy now knew Earth's strength, but also its defiance. There would be more challenges, more battles. But humanity would face them together, stronger, smarter, and more united than ever before. The stars were watching, and Earth stood ready. The wave washed over the entire alien fleet, leaving nothing behind but the cold, empty void of space. It did not stop at the ships. It reached the edges of the solar system, severing faster than light. Communication relays and erasing surveillance probes hidden among the asteroids. When the light finally receded, the solar system was silent and still. No trace remained of the once mighty Galactic Council armada. Earth's skies were clear again, the stars visible and serene. Only the Prometheus remained, floating quietly near the moon, as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. In the command center, Admiral Chen stood before her officers, who stared at her in a mix of awe and unease. "Status?" she asked. "Admiral," replied the tactical officer, "the enemy fleet has been neutralized completely. No remaining hostile signals detected within the solar system or on the periphery. Any damage to Earth or its colonies?" "None, Admiral." Chen nodded. her expression unreadable.
Good.
Ensure the debris is monitored. Could even a particle remains that shouldn't. I wanted addressed. A younger officer hesitated, then asked the question on everyone's mind. Admiral, what will the rest of the galaxy think of this? Of ... us. Chen turned to face her team, her calm gaze sweeping over them. They'll think twice before threatening humanity again. Let them spread the story of what they witnessed here. Fear can be a powerful deterrent. She walked back to her seat, her voice dropping to a more somber tone. To make no mistake, this victory isn't the end. The galaxy will remember us now, not as the fragile newcomers we once were, but as something far more dangerous. That attention will bring new challenges, new alliances, and new enemies. A moment of silence fell over the room. Then, in the background, a communication signal blinked to life. The voice of Earth's president came through, steady and firm. Admiral Chen, congratulations on defending humanity. The world is watching, and we owe you and the crew of the Prometheus a debt that can never be repaid. Chen inclined her head. Slightly, we simply did what was necessary, Madam President. The galaxy underestimated us once. They won't make that mistake again. As the Prometheus powered down, returning to its silent vigil near Earth's moon, humanity's message to the stars was clear. Peace was always the first choice, but Earth would never bow. And if forced to fight, it would wield powers that the galaxy could scarcely comprehend. The crystalline hegemon spoke next, its resonant tones trembling. The humans have demonstrated a mastery of the void, a power we do not and cannot comprehend. They are no longer a species to dominate or manipulate. They have ascended into something greater, the reptilian emperor hissed, his scales shifting. Nervously, are you suggesting submission? Is that we bow to them after ruling this galaxy for eons? The crystalline being replied, I am suggesting survival. Confrontation with humanity is no longer a war, it is annihilation. If we provoke them further, our civilizations will vanish as if they never existed. Is your pride worth extinction? The aquatic representative swirled its gelatinous form, a sound like rushing water filling the chamber. We must act cautiously. Open war is no longer an option. Perhaps diplomacy remains. Diplomacy? Barked the metallic voice of the machine collective. How do we negotiate with beings who can erase our fleets without effort and who exist beyond our understanding? Their technology violates every principle we hold sacred. They are not merely advanced, they are transcendent. The Voidwalker, a shadow against the dim light, whispered ominously. Perhaps it is not technology. Perhaps it is the humans themselves, who have evolved. Their presence feels. It's different, as if they straddle dimensions. Silence gripped the room again as the weight of these words settled on the council. Finally, the oldest among them, a frail insectoid being whose race had seen countless stars born and die, spoke in a rasping voice. We must send emissaries to Earth, not to demand, not to negotiate, but to acknowledge. Let humanity know we seek peace, that we recognize their sovereignty and respect their power. This is the only path that does not lead to our extinction. The council hesitated, their pride and fear warring within them. After what felt like an eternity, the reptilian emperor growled reluctantly. Very well. But who shall be the one to approach them? The Voidwalker whispered again, its voice chilling. Whoever goes must understand they may never return. Humans have little reason to trust us after what we have done. The room fell silent once more. For the first time in millennia, the rulers of the galaxy were faced with a force they could neither conquer nor control. Far away on Earth, Admiral Chen stood in the control room of the Prometheus, watching as the stars outside the window glimmered in quiet defiance of the galaxy's turmoil. She turned to her officers, her face calm but resolute. The galaxy will think twice before crossing us again, she said. But let's make one thing clear. Power alone isn't enough. We didn't fight for dominance, we fought for peace. Now we must be the stewards of what we've earned. Prepare for the emissaries when they come. We will hear them out, but we will not bow. The Prometheus and its kindred ships stood watch over the solar system, a silent testament to humanity's rise. Across the galaxy, civilizations that had once scoffed at Earth now whispered its name with awe and fear. The age of human submission was over. A new age had begun, one where humanity no longer feared the stars, but shaped their destiny among them. The discovery of the ruins caused a sensation across the galaxy. The symbols etched into the stone-like material were unlike anything any known race had ever seen. They seemed to shimmer and shift when viewed as though they contained a hidden message locked within higher dimensions. The young Vorthan explorer Kareth brought samples and recordings back to her homeworld. Soon, every major civilization began pouring resources into understanding the relics. Weeks later, a team of crystalline scholars managed to decode a fragment of the ruins' inscriptions. Their findings sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Beware the travelers. They do not conquer worlds, they transcend them. Those who threaten their sanctuary invite oblivion. The word travelers was vague, but the parallels to humanity's recent actions were too glaring to ignore. Speculation ran rampant. Ruins be connected to humanity's rise? Had they found these ancient secrets and used them to ascend beyond the rest of the galaxy's understanding? Kareth, hailed as a hero for her discovery, was invited to speak before the remnants of the Galactic Council. In the chamber, now devoid of its former splendor, she addressed the gathered delegates. The ruins speak of a power older than the stars, a power not wielded to dominate, but to protect. The travelers were not conquerors, they were guardians. It is my belief that humanity has inherited their mantle, whether by chance or design. Her words were met with a mixture of awe and skepticism. Are you suggesting humanity has become a new form of galactic guardian? Asked the reptilian emperor, his tone a blend of disdain and fear. Kareth nodded. I am suggesting that humanity's silence is not indifference, but restraint. They possess a power they do not use lightly, and they observe because they understand the fragility of the galaxy's balance. They could have ended us all in 4 minutes, yet they did not. The crystalline representative resonated with thoughtful harmonics. Then what do we do? How do we proceed? Proceed carefully, Kareth replied. Do not provoke them, and perhaps seek to learn from them. Humanity may hold the key to a future where we do not merely survive but transcend. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Admiral Chen reviewed reports from across the galaxy. The Prometheus and its sister ships continued their silent vigil, and humanity had quietly begun sharing limited technologies with those willing to engage on equal terms. Kareth's discovery will stir them, said Captain Lin, her second-in-command. It was inevitable, Chen replied. No, but this is the galaxy's choice now. We've shown them the cost of aggression. If they choose cooperation, we will meet them halfway. If not, her voice trailed off, leaving the unspoken warning heavy in the air. Humanity's message had been clear. They sought no empire, no conquest, only peace. But the galaxy now understood what lay beneath that peace of quiet, comprehensible power, ready to awaken should the stars turn hostile again. The revelation sent waves of panic, awe, and reflection across the galaxy. The ancient warning carved into forgotten ruins was now understood with chilling clarity. Humanity was not an upstart species that had risen to power by chance. They were the architects of the galaxy's foundations, the first ones. The Yao children mentioned in the inscriptions were no abstract beings. They were the descendants of the civilizations humanity had once nurtured.
Ow.
Over eons, these children had grown powerful, arrogant, and forgetful of the forces that had shaped their existence. For centuries, the galaxy had been a patchwork of empires ruled by prideful warlords, psionic collectives, mechanical intelligences, each believing they were the pinnacle of evolution. Now, with the return of the first ones, it was clear that the galaxy's so-called rulers were merely caretakers playing at divinity in a cosmos far beyond their comprehension. A new cosmic order, the message spread like wildfire, and governments scrambled to react. Some issued declarations of humility, vowing to reform their ways and respect the balance of power. Others dissolved entirely, their leaders retreating into isolation, unwilling to risk drawing humanity's attention. The Galactic Council, once the ultimate authority among the stars, was restructured into a forum of equals. The age of subjugation and empire building was over, replaced by a cautious cooperation born of fear and newfound respect for humanity's role. Humanity's quiet dominion from their vantage point in the Sol system. Humanity made no proclamations, issued no ultimatums. It continued to watch and occasionally guide subtly, indirectly. As if shepherding rather than ruling, ambassadors and envoys sent to Earth were often met with silence or returned with cryptic advice. Seek balance in your world before you seek it in others. The void is patient, but your pride is not. Power is best wielded in restraint. Every interaction reinforced the galaxy's understanding that humanity did not seek dominion, but rather a return to harmony, a balance between civilizations that respected their place in the cosmic fabric. The Prometheus on board, the Prometheus. Admiral Chen reflected on the unfolding events. The ship was not merely a vessel of war or exploration. It was a manifestation of humanity's evolution, a bridge between reality and the infinite void beyond. We've waited long enough, she said to her officers. Now the galaxy has begun to remember. The bridge crew shared quiet smiles, their expressions filled with both pride and purpose. Humanity had reclaimed its place not through violence, but through wisdom and a demonstration of power so absolute it required no further use. A lesson learned on distant worlds. Children learned new histories, ones that told of humanity's first reign and their mysterious return. The story of the first ones became both a cautionary tale and a guiding principle for a galaxy learning to coexist under the quiet shadow of its true creators. The age of humanity's exile was over. They'd come home, not to rule, but to remind their creations of the balance they had forgotten. And as Admiral Chen gazed at the stars from her ship, she knew this was only the beginning of a new chapter in the galaxy's story, a chapter written not in conquest, but in understanding.